That was the line to get into New York Comic Con. I'm lucky that I did not have to wait in it. I got a pass so I could sort of roam the floor on my own a little bit before people showed up. But yeah, that was crazy. So anyway, I kind of wanted to do a video about Comic Con. That way I can just sort of talk about, all my thoughts about it, what I really liked about it. So right here you're looking at pretty much the big giant obligatory statue of tower of t-shirts. That was cool, a lot of cool stuff there. Basically, yeah, Comic-Con was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I'd never been to a big Comic-Con before, like New York, so this was the first time for me. Got to see a lot of cool stuff. They had a little statue of Smeagol, Gandalf's hat, a whole bunch of, this was the Lord of the Rings sort of setup right here. They had this guy from the Hobbit movies, I forget his name, sorry. That was pretty cool. They had all these little statues of little hobbit holes in the Shire. Back there is Rivendell. And then that's the place that I forget. And then that's the Tower of Orthanc and Isengard. And then Sauron's Tower in Mordor. This didn't turn out super well just because of the glare. But these are a whole bunch of weapons from the movies. From swords and blades, all sorts of stuff. It was a really cool setup. I wish I could have gotten better pictures, but it was just too bright in there. And there was also a giant Smaug. So that was cool. One of my favorite things about Comic-Con is all the fan art. So there's a lot of really, really cool fan art there. I just wanted to make sure I got a lot of it there, just because as someone who's very passionate about nerdy pursuits, I like seeing that there are other people out there who use their talents to pursue their, creative hopes as well. That was one of my favorite Spider-Mans. There was this really cool, Batman through the Batman's ears picture. There's some really cool splatter art. These two were actually just sort of company-wide or company-brought pictures, but I really liked seeing them there, so they were there. There was this whole big table of weapons, nerdy blades and guns and stuff. That was really cool. All sorts of cool swords and stuff. And oh, look, a Master Sword. Totally didn't buy one of those. The classic Star Wars stuff. R2-D2 ice cubes, Death Star ice orbs, I guess is a better term for it. All this other cool stuff you could do. Han Solo in chocolate. That was pretty funny. I really got like that one. There were a whole bunch of that's a giant Galactus. He was huge. But then you had some Deadpool's, Rocket, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Black Widow, Cat, basically just the Avengers. And there was Carnage, and then they got into some of the X-Men's. They were chilling. She-Hulk was there too. Then down here there was some DC stuff. There's Batman, Robin, Nightwing, all of his little cohorts. Then there's Green Arrow, and then just the Justice League pretty much. Red Hulk was over there, but Batman was watching over him, and then Darth Maul was watching over him. There were Dragon Balls. Didn't buy any of those, but I may have picked up a Saiyan Scouter. That was kind of cool. Then there was all these Game of Thrones guys, White Walkers, Khal Drogo, Snows and Starks, Lannisters, and then Daenerys with her little dragon egg. There was a big Bionicle exhibit, so naturally seeing my childhood on a giant flashing screen before me made me immediately zoom in over there. Then I guess they're rebooting it or something, but they did have the Toa, and I do remember Tahu, Onua, Gali, Pohatu, Liwa, and Kopaka. Got all those names down. Probably never going to forget those. But, so yeah, it was cool to see, those all over the place. Like I said, basically my childhood. Then there were some cool vintage sets. I mean, that's not really vintage, but they were old school. So those were cool. And then pretty much over here, you could just buy Lego people, by the person. Which was really cool because those are always there. Everyone always loves the people. Primarily, it was a lot of Star Wars stuff, just because Star Wars Legos are always the most popular. But they did have some Harry Potter was there. If we went down here a little bit, there's some Lord of the Rings. Over here, there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book stuff. Then, come on, really? Then there were Minions, because there's always Minions everywhere. Then there was those little little figures. Some of them are bobbleheads, some are just little figures. Those things just are everywhere. They just dominated Comic-Con. This was just one retailer who had it. Then if you just went 2 feet over, there's another separate retailer who just had more. They were all over the place. That was kind of cool though, Ghostbusters. That was a shirt. Thought that was funny. Then there was this whole big Star Trek booth. I had a whole bunch of Star Trek shirts, just for everything ranging from like T-shirts to actual like baby onesie uniforms to dress onesie uniforms, or dress onesie, just dress uniforms. Then they had hoodies up there, and yeah, I may be wearing a Star Trek hoodie as we speak. They did want to start a riot though, because they put the Star Wars stuff right across the aisle from it. And there was a ton of Star Wars stuff too. More T-shirts from Star Wars. I actually didn't buy any. I know a lot of people would be surprised at that because I'm a gargantuan Star Wars nerd. But I had a lot of Star Wars stuff, and I wanted to diversify my nerd portfolio. So I sort of let that slide. But yeah, there's so much Star Wars stuff. It was pretty cool. There was also these little like belt buckly looking things. I don't know. Thought it was cool, but didn't end up buying any. Then they sort of had more costume stuff. They had, first of all, they had a giant stormtrooper. That was awesome. But then they just had like super realistic masks. They were all really cool looking, very realistic. The only one that was kind of weird was Rocket Raccoon. I mean, look at that. That's just horrifying. But yeah, the rest of them were really cool. There's Batman, and then there was the Joker over here. Cap Shield, that was cool. And then they had these little like dishes, look like Halloween things. You put candy in, and kids come up and grab the candy of all these famous characters. They were all really cool, mostly comic books. There were a couple Star Wars, and just oh my god, that is horrifying. Then these are all belts and leashes and dog collars and all sorts of lengths of nerdy fabric. That was kind of cool. Then I saw this funny shirt. It was like a 50s propaganda, I guess. Not propaganda, but warning you about the dangers of catnip. Then there was all this nerd jewelry. This is a time turner from third Harry Potter that I bought my girlfriend. And there was all this other really cool nerd jewelry, a lot of lockets, a lot of pocket watches. I was really disappointed I didn't see the ring from Lord of the Rings. I was hoping for one of those, but no dice. Then there was fork art, like sculptures made out of forks. Those were really cool. Must have took a lot of time to work on those. Then they had all these really cool license plates, Firefly, like 4 different Tony Stark ones, the Lawyer Up one from Breaking Bad. My favorite one is the barcode license plate from Back to the Future. And Bon Jovi had his own, I guess. Then, of course, there were the comic books. Just so many comic books. Just look at them all. It was really cool, all the comic books there. I'm not going to go into too many details of the comic books because I know there are others out there who are better authorities on the subject about some of the cool stuff there. So I'm not going to go into a lot of them, but I will say that as I was walking past this booth, this guy had a great collection because I stopped in my tracks and then I just went back. I said, hold on, is that the debut of the black suit Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man? That was a replica of the original Amazing Fantasy. They also had Demon in a Bottle, a lot of cool stuff. I also got, I picked up this one comic book. It was like a guy, who's just starting out. And that's one of my favorite things about Comic-Con is that everyone's sort of on an even playing field. Marvel and DC are there, they're, some of the big hitters with them and Image and Dark Horse, but, everybody can really get a chance to display their own stuff, and that's one of the things I thought was really cool. Then there were a lot of books, like with words and stuff, and there were a lot of really cool, interesting subjects that, obviously I found interesting. I didn't end up picking up any just because I only had so much money, but there were a lot of really cool subjects, a ton of Tolkien just, was everywhere. But yeah, it was a lot of very interesting. Then they had all this cool movie stuff, the Big Hero 6 thing. And then they had this sort of Batman exhibit about all the Batman costumes through the years. They had a copy, or maybe the original, but probably just a copy, of what each actor wore in each Batman. And starting off with Michael Keaton. Had a big Walking Dead thing, that was cool. VGHS Season 3, that's really exciting. I'm pumped for that. Baking Bad by Walter Wheat. Clever. This one just kind of seemed out of place. I don't know. Then there were some cool masks, and then this was here. Had to get a picture, had to get a video of this for my girlfriend. She's a big Whovian. And then, of course, there were some cool cosplayers. Good old Doctor Strange. Then this one I actually didn't even notice at first until I heard him talking.
I have several leather-bound books in my apartment. Smells of
Yeah, that's Peter Griffin.
I like the big eyeball. Can we do that on the floor? I could get on the floor. I can't promise I'll get back up. No, right?
That was pretty good.
You're welcome.
Can you give me a laugh?
There you go.
Awesome. And then there was this really cool Sauron looking guy. And he was just gargantuan. So all in all, I don't really know how to wrap this up neatly, I guess, other than just saying it was a lot of fun. And it was a great experience being around so many other big nerds and being able to see so much creativity and passion and love for nerdiness all in one place. And I guess the next nice way to wrap this up was it was a great time. And I recommend to everyone, whoever gets a chance to go to any Comic-Con, big or small, definitely do it because it's a unique experience and it is just a ton of fun. Oh yeah, and I was Tony Stark.